Login accepted.
Hey guys, it's Freddy, and in today's video I'm going to discuss a real-world scenario where the customer could not get online at all. Okay, so I received a call from the client stating that their internet wasn't working. They couldn't receive emails, they couldn't browse the web, and their accounting app in the cloud wasn't connecting. So I checked a couple of things. First to see if it was multiple computers, which it was. I also could see the server. I could also see other computers on the network, so it wasn't anything on the LAN that was a problem. Everything on the LAN worked. They could still print to their printers, they could still print to their network copiers, scanners were working, everything was working on the LAN, so it was getting out into the internet. That was the problem. One of the first things that I did was I tried to ping their gateway. So I'm going to launch the command prompt, and so I pinged their gateway, and one way to find out what the gateway is you can do an ipconfig switch all, which I will discuss in another video, the ipconfig command. So this gives you a bunch of information. Because this is a virtual machine, it's giving me these virtual IPs. In this situation, the default gateway is 10.0.2.2. So I'll ping the 10.0.2.2. And I get a reply from it. So that means I'm getting a response from the gateway. So then I go ahead and I ping Google's DNS, which is 8.8.8.8, and I get a response from it. So that means I'm actually getting out into the internet. So I said, you know what? Maybe we're having a DNS problem. Now, if you look up here, the DNS server shows that this is the DNS IP address. I said, let me ping the DNS server. And I got a reply from the DNS server. Now, in this case, just like in this situation, the DNS server is within the LAN. So it's not the DNS server being used on the internet. Next, I dug a little deeper. I logged into the router and saw that the DNS being issued to the router was being automatically given to it by the ISP. I pinged that DNS server and I didn't get a response. So I can ping Google's DNS, so I tried to ping Google. Now in this case, because this is working, I should get a response. And I do. I get a reply from the IP address that is being resolved to google.com. So at the client, I didn't get a response when I tried to ping google.com. So that led me to believe that it may be a problem with the ISP's DNS servers. So this is what I did. I went to the network settings. So I went to the network and sharing center. And I went to change adapter settings. I right clicked on the Ethernet, go to properties, and now click on the Internet Protocol version 4, properties, and here I selected use the following DNS server addresses, and I entered in Google's DNS. And their secondary DNS server, which is 8.8.4.4. And I said, okay. So now I go back to the command prompt and I pinged google.com again. And I got a reply this time. So I opened up the browser. I was able to get online. I synchronized the email. I was able to receive new emails. So that showed me that the ISP was having a problem with their DNS server. So I asked the customer, I was like, would you like me to put Google's DNS into the router temporarily? And she asked me if I was sure that that was the problem. I said, yeah, I'm sure there's a problem with the ISP's DNS. She asked me if we can call the ISP. I said, sure. So we called the ISP. They confirmed that there was in fact a problem with their DNS servers and they were working on it. They didn't have an ETA for when it would be back up and running. And they were sorry. They would issue a credit for the amount of time the internet was down, things like that. So the client agreed. They needed to be up and running. They needed their email. They needed to get online. And one of their accounting apps was also online in the cloud, so they needed their internet access. So I logged into the router, put Google's DNS as the DNS servers. You don't have to use Google. You can actually use OpenDNS if you want to. You can choose other options, but Google DNS is pretty reliable. So I put those settings in. They were back up and running. Everybody could get online. You know, they were happy, thankful. I just explained to her, let me know if they contact you and let you know that DNS is back up and running, and then we can put the ISP's DNS servers back into the router. She said no problem, and she was happy. And that's all there is to it. Until next time, this is Freddie signing off.